Am I reading books next month? Absolutely. Hello, welcome to the Ponderings of Pete. I am Pete, and this is my channel. And I'm back after a week hiatus. If you are new here and this is your first time watching one of my videos, thank you so much for coming. There's a like button, there's a comment button box, there's a subscribe button. If you want to utilize all of those, that would be awesome. It really helps, just spread the word and bring in more new people like you. If you are returning, thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate you talking in the Discord and just talking to you anywhere, because I like talking about books, because that's the real reason why I'm here. And all of you, if you want to leave comments, if you have read these books, if you are going to be reading these books, etc., tell me your thoughts, spoiler-free if I haven't read them, hopefully. And what are you reading this month? That's the real question. Without further ado, as every single person says, let's talk about the TBR. So in June, definitely last month, this month, a lot of buddy reads. Just a lot. It's been piling up, but that's Booktube, right? The first one I will say is one of the ones I'm continuing. That is Books of Jacob, which I don't believe I can pronounce the author's name, but it's okay. This is a Nobel Prize winner about a man that is basically a false messiah. I have barely started this book at this point. I am off today and tomorrow being Monday, Memorial Day, which is actually the time that you're watching this. This is one of the books that I really want to get into and get a good chunk out of tomorrow. I have 3 really, that 2 of which are not on this list, but this one is. This sounded interesting, and I'm buttering it with somebody on my server. If you'd like to continue with us, go ahead. We're probably going to finish it in the next few weeks, hopefully. I'm definitely going to try to make it a priority. So check this out if you're interested. The next one is a continuation of a Robin Hobb buddy read with a bunch of people on Gregory LaPerche's Discord and in a random Voxer message we have. Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. Some of us, looking at you, Evie, have run ahead of the rest of the party. And now there are thousands upon thousands, not really, only hundreds, of messages that I cannot listen to because I have not read Mad Ship. It's kind of, not like, I wouldn't say triggering, because this coming from the man that has like 500 Discord notifications that are sitting there that I don't really look at because I don't go to those Discords. But I really want to know people's thoughts about Mad Ship, but I can't because I haven't read it. Anyways, Mad Ship, second book in the Live Ship Traders series, which is technically the second trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings. And so far I've been having a great time. There's some really hated characters. There's some really just great characters. Definitely going to do a review for this series, and we're going to talk about how much I hate Kyle, because Kyle is the worst. But yeah, that's Mad Ship. A lot of pain, a lot of Hobb, just normal. We're going to be continuing through all of Realm of the Elderlings through probably like halfway, most of the way through next year. So check these out. Next up is another continuation of a buddy read, and that is The Veiled Throne by Ken Liu. I finished Wall of Storms, and I actually just got done talking about the Wall of Storms in a live show, which will be linked up there. With Ian the Reader, read by Kyle, and Charmaine, who is on Instagram as Traveling Through Books. And we had a blast. Dandelion Dynasty is an amazing series that I think everybody should read. I mean, there's so many good things. Just if you look at the Goodreads reviews, ignore like the top 2 worst rated ones. Like there's a 1-star and a 2.5 star that are just wrong at the top of the Grace of Kings review. Just saying that. Look at Patrick's review there, because better review. But this is an Asian-inspired fantasy. The first book definitely has a historical bent to it. It's actually based off of bits and pieces of Chinese history. But as far as I know, the second book and continuing definitely takes a turn from history. And there's just so many really cool elements that are in these books that I can't talk about. The characters are amazing, and both male and female. Like, Ken writes these amazing characters in these stories, and I love it. And he makes you think about just things and systems and governments and right to rule and how you should rule. A lot of things and how to deal with things and just... And there's science in this as well. I just want to point that out. There may or may not be static electricity in this book that is utilized in a very interesting way. The next book I'm going to try to read, this is one of the few books that is not a buddy read, but I actually kind of just put it, because I've been focusing on buddy reads, I've had to put this to the wayside, and that is The Tyrants Law by Daniel Abraham. This is book 3 of the Dagger and Coin series, which is Daniel Abraham's exploration into how are wars won, with money or with soldiers, with the dagger or the coin. And I would argue that there's a third dimension to that, the Politico influence Spider King dimension, but it's called the Dagger and the Coin, not the Dagger, the Coin, and the Spiderweb, even though it very well could be. I have wanted to read this one, but again, it's falling to the wayside because it's not a buddy read. So here's hoping I can get to it in June, but again, June is super, super packed. Next up, we have the next book in the Shadows of the Apps series, War Master's Gate by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is book 9. We're going to be on book 9, guys. I'm actually in the middle of Air War right now. That's the one I need to finish in the next 2 days, hopefully. And it's just, guys, the tactics have leveled up. It's so much great. There's war. There's craziness. I really can't tell you anything else. It's book 8 in a series. I have a video that talks about the first 5, a review of the first 5 and why you should read them. I'm definitely going to do a series review or a why you should read type of video when I finish all 10, because this is a really great and really just underrated, under-reviewed book here on Booktube, or series here on Booktube, and they're great. It did take me 5 books to actually come to that conclusion, but they are really good, and I like what Adrian has done with these books. And the next one, buddy read on the Library of Alexandria's server, just like the last one was. And that is book 2 in the Shadow Campaign series, which is a Flintlock fantasy, The Shadow Throne. So book 1 blew me away. I'm realizing that reading more of these books, I'm getting more and more into military style fantasy, into like tactics and war, and just enjoying that for what it is a little bit more. And this has it in spades. You have a brilliant tactician character. You have a war. I mean, it's kind of a very imperialistic war, where one side has guns and the other kind of has. I don't remember if they actually have guns, but they're not as organized. But it was really cool just to see the brilliant tactician go up against insurmountable odds. And I won't tell you if they won or not, because they could have lost. Theoretically, they could have lost. But it was a really good book, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. The magic was very light. The characters were great. You had great moral conundrums and just the cost of leadership on multiple levels throughout the army. So that was really cool. Next up is a series that I already know is going to be a new favorite based on my love of the very first book last month, and that is The Raven Stratagem by Yoon Ha Lee, book 2 in the Machineries of Empire. I have a review for the first one because I read it and I was like, I have to review this like now. Go check out this review, check out this book, because it's brilliant. Like, not even low key. Like, it's definitely not a book that I've seen around, but also I mainly focus on fantasy booktube, to be honest. I am not really well versed in sci-fi booktube, or have like a lot of knowledge about it, but I really, really love this. The Nine Fox Gambit. I'm really excited for Raven Stratagem because of the ending of Nine Fox Gambit. It's one of those things that I can't talk about Raven Stratagem without spoiling Nine Fox Gambit. So definitely continuing a lot of series this month. But this one is only 3 books, and then there's a 4th book that's a book of short stories. So this should be done really quickly, honestly. Next one, I think it's the start of a new series, but this is a buddy read with a friend of mine on Booktube, Kate, and that is Shadows in Ivory. She brought this book to my attention and was like, don't you want to read this? And I'm like, sure. So we're going to try and read this month, and we'll see how it goes. This is a self-published book. I believe it was in SPIFBO last year. I cannot remember if it was a finalist or not off the top of my head. I'm not going to say it was when it wasn't, but definitely check this out. I actually am telling you that and not actually knowing what it's about because I forgot. And I probably should have looked it up beforehand, but I kind of want to go in blind. Look at this book. And the last 2 normal books, I will say, are Infinite Jest and Mr. Mercedes. I am trekking through these. Infinite Jest has kind of turned into a buddy read with another person on my Discord. It's just such an interesting book. I'm actually doing Just found some videos online that kind of like are a background for that, for the Infinite Jest, which is really nice. It's just such a different book. And at some point I will talk more about it, I promise. And the final two books, I have a little bit of an announcement. I think this is kind of gonna be out before the official announcement, sort of. So you guys are getting an inside scoop a little early. But that is an announcement related to SPFBO, SBFBO, the Self-Published Fantasy Blog-Off, which is a competition that a bunch of people enter, self-published authors specifically, and they give off 300 books, I believe it is. They give their books to reviewers, and the reviewers review them, and eventually there is one left standing. I am not one of the top 10 judges. There are 30 books given to 10 judges, 30 books each to 10 different judges. And one of the judges is my good friend Bookborn. She asked me and a few other of our friends to help her select a finalist. So essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to read 6 self-published books over the next 3 months that I was assigned, and we are going to recommend our favorite to her, and then she will read our semifinalists so she can choose a finalist to go into the final round to be put up for the finalist bracket. I'm really honored to have been selected for this. I've been following SPFBO since I started BookTube. I've been like, oh, this is so interesting, and heard about the whole self-published scene. This is a really cool thing to do. I'm excited, but without further ado, let's talk about the 2 books that I am reading. The first one is The Merchant Prince by Johan Fair. Not really entirely sure how to say his name, but this one is set in a city that kind of sounds like it might be Fantasy Venice. I don't know, but it's a city that is a city of 2 gods, the city ruled by the great houses of immense wealth, which there are some similar things. It sounds kind of similar to some stuff that I've read in Dagger and Coin. The main character is the 3rd son of a merchant, and also at the same time he is the next head of his family, which is interesting because a lot of books will have the first son inherits the family. So evidently he's a smart man, I guess, but he's next in line. But upon his return from abroad, he is bumped out of his position, and his father is dead, and enemies seem to lurk in every dark alley of the city. So this is a tale of intrigue, liars, assassins, greed, and ambition. A tale filled with death. Enter a world bounded and detailed, complex and beautiful, and hopefully enjoy your stay. So this one this is one of the ones I personally picked out from the pile of oh, this is different and unique. That kind of stood out to me because it's, there sounds like there's a bunch of action in it with assassins, but it's about a merchant prince versus kings and kingdoms and all that jazz. Maybe we'll get more fantasy banking or fantasy business. Who knows? We'll see. I'm looking forward to reading this one. The next one is Heir to the Sun by Karen Lakibo. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I really am. This is a portal fantasy where a woman who is running from her ex-boyfriend gets thrown into a fantasy world. She decided to move to a small town and reinvent herself, but her crazy ex-boyfriend decided to follow her. But she makes friends with this woman that has a lot of fairy tales, tells her a lot of fairy tales, and then when her ex-boyfriend follows her, she runs across the boundary into this other magical world. And after that, she's known as the Princess of Light. So it seems kind of similar to the Narnia concept of go into another world. Oh wait, you're royalty here, which can be done interesting. I don't think outside of Narnia I've ever personally read that in another book. So definitely that trope is a little bit more fresh on my mind. So I'm interested. Also, dealing with trauma of an ex, I'm interested to see how this book handles that. So definitely check this book out if it seems interesting to you. I will definitely, at the very least, talk about this on my wrap-up for June. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments about these books, definitely put them down below. What do you think about the self-published books that I put up today? Give some self-published love. Thank you so much again for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Make sure to get some rest, which I definitely need to while I'm off this weekend. the extra long weekend. And just, yeah, bye.